their siege and a cover page. It's just that instead of assessment of a specific family, nagiging child assessment na siya. So self-directed learning study presented to the Faculty of Nursing Department, College of Arts and Sciences, okay, in partial fulfillment of the requirements of NCM 107. Then you have to write your name, your batch, then the date. Okay? So you have here your acknowledgement. Okay? Sige. So for your acknowledgement, you have to include the program coordinator, the clinical instructors, the president, the school. We also have your guardian ng iyong inassess na bata. You may also include your family, your friends, okay? And yung mga gusto mong pasalamatan. Okay, see the next. Table of contents. Of course, you have to include the title page, the acknowledgement, okay? The table of contents, the introduction, the background of the study, statement of the problem, significance of the study, and scope and limitation. That's for your chapter 1. Okay, so research talaga yung approach niya, class. Next, we have chapter 2. For the chapter 2, we have your review of related literature. So you have to read references, books, journals that will help you come up with a good review of related literature. Okay? Ano yung i-include natin dito? Okay? You may include the physical health assessment, your child development, okay? Developmental delays, okay? Ano yung MMTST and good enough Truman test, yung developmental tasks ni Robert Havikhurst, okay? So you have to research kung ano ito siya. Erik Erikson's theory of psychosocial development, Jean Piaget's cognitive developmental theory, Sigmund Freud's theory of psychosexual development. Okay, so you will be needing references for this. So you may make use of the online resources sa library natin. Okay? That's for your chapter 2, a review of related literature. For the chapter 3, methodology. Okay, what's your research design? Okay. Respondents and locale, your collection technique, how did you gather the data? Okay. Then chapter 4, you are going to present, interpret, and analyze. So you have here the initial database, cephalocaudal assessment. Okay, as I've said, i-incorporate na natin dito yung learnings ninyo with health assessment, okay, head-to-toe assessment. Then you have to include developmental assessment based on theories. So, for example, ang batang inassess ninyo is a toddler. So, ano ang psychosexual stage niya? Ano yung psychosocial stage niya? Then as well as the cognitive stage. And you have to include as well the screening tests, your MMDST, and your good enough Truman test. Then for the chapter 5, you have your summary, conclusion, and recommendation. And you have to attach your readiness to learn, your learning contract, consent for study, your MMDST form, your documentation, and your curriculum vitae. Lastly, your references. Okay, then you will have to include a separate list of the tables and list of figures. So that's it for the first part of the manuscript. So don't you worry, we will give you the soft copy of this one, but of course, walang content. Okay, walang content, but the file with the logo, with the header, okay, ipo-provide namin. It's for the first pages. The next, I'll be showing you separate file. chapter 1. And yes, okay. So here, you have to include the introduction. So ano yung contents ng ating chapter 1? So yung background of the study, statement of the problem, significance of the study, scope and limitations, okay, ng study. Then you have to include the background of the study. Okay? So for example, during your assessment, nakita nyo meron siyang delays. Okay, so you may include here, okay, mga references nyo that could support, okay, your finding. Okay? When we say background of the study, it's an introduction, an overview. Okay? Yung sa overview. Next, you have the statement of the problem. So you have to set your goal. Okay? Then you have to specify your objectives. Okay? So specifically, dapat ma-identify niyo yung mga developmental milestones and delays of the child. Okay? Interpret the developmental progress. Distinguish possible factors based on the gathered assessment data. Okay? Summarize the outcomes of the overall assessment. Okay? Beware, please do not copy-paste what was presented. Okay? That's an example of how you come up with a statement of the problem. Next, significance of the study. So, your assessment, sino makaka-benefit nito? Of course, you could include the child, makaka-benefit siya, and the family. Okay? The nursing academe, nursing research, okay? And future researchers. Next, for the scope of limitation. So for the scope of limitation, okay, in this study, the only qualified respondents are those children whose age ranges from 2 weeks to 6.5 years old. Okay? So as I've said, we recommend 3 to 6 years old. Pero kung kaya nyo mag-handle ng toddler, pero kung medyo nahihirapan kayo, you may prefer 4 to 6.5 years old. So, yon. So, you have to state here yung scope lang ng inyong assessment. Okay? That's it for the scope and limitation. Okay? Next. Questions so far for the chapter 1? Yes, Ms. De La Cruz.
Ma'am, pwede po mag-ask dun po sa statement of the problem po. Depende po sa inyo kung ilalagay mo po dun, di ba?
Dito sa objectives? Subjective?
Yes po.
Okay, so we will have a minimum of 3. Okay, minimum of 3 objectives. Anything more? Sige, napapahingang malalim kayo siguro dyan.
Dango daw, ma'am.
Thank you po, ma'am. Okay.
Kaya na.
Yes, Miss De La Cruz? Thank you ba yung narinig?
Okay na po. Opo.
Okay. Sige. Okay. Sige, hingang malalim tayong lahat. Sige, yes, Mr. Lyson.
Ma'am, i-review pa man, di ba ma'am, no? Mag-send man kami sa draft, ma'am, no?
Yes, that's good question. Yes, you have to pass yung every week class, di ba may naset kayong mga activities. You just have to pass an initial draft. Okay? Then we will try to run through. Then yung final output ninyo will be submitted on December 15 pa. Okay? December.
Okay. Okay.
Sige. Anything more? Sige. Ano yung mga tumatakbo sa isip ninyo, class? pahinga lalim din. Okay, I guess. Nag-iisip pa kayo kung anong pwedeng itanong. Sige, let's proceed. Yes, yes, Miss Lumagan.
Ma'am, with the SOP po, ma'am, pwede po namin parang ipaka-face po yung, like, halimbawa po sa kanya po, ma'am, kasi po, we have the same objectives with this research type of paper, ma'am. Can we paraphrase it po, or should we formulate our own po?
Please, if kaya niyo naman mag-formulate ng inyo, please do so. Yung paraphrase, that would be the last option. Okay? Sige. Give it a try muna. Meron pa bang nag-raise? Parang dalawa yun kanina pero nawala ka agad yung isang pangalan. Mamayan, may tanong ka ba? Yeah. Kaya natin to class. Kapit lang. Okay, next. Let's proceed to the next chapter, which is all about your chapter. Okay, chapter 2 na tayo. It's for your review of related literature. Okay? For the review of the related literature, ano yung contents nito? So, na-mention na natin kanina, you have to include the child development, everything about it. Okay, child development, physical health assessment, kasi magpe-perform ka ng physical health assessment, your developmental delays, okay, for example, during your assessment, or you just wanted to have or include yung developmental delays, pwede din. Okay? Your MMDST, kasi ito yung test na ipe-perform ninyo, and you're good enough through a man-test. This is the test you're going to perform. May nag-raise ba, Sir John? Sorry, hindi ko nakita.
Miss Franco, ma'am.
Yes, Miss Franco.
Sa ma'am, every title, ilang paragraphs po?
So, wala namang limit, Miss Franco.
Okay po.
As long as ma-discuss mo siya ng maayos. Yes, Miss De La Cruz.
Sa related literature, ma'am, ilan pong page ang need na input ay ilagay po? Ilang pages po?
Sige, so far, wala pa namang na-set si ang level coordinator kung ilang pages. But sige, I will try to ask. And later this afternoon, sasagutin natin yan. Okay? Ilang pages dapat ang RRE? Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Anything more? Yes. You are Miss Tabile.
May minimum number po yung reference, ma'am.
I think it's 10, pero sige, I will clarify that one as well, and I will give you the answer this afternoon. Okay? The number of references, I'll try to list it down. Okay? Dali na ako malipat at class. Dali lang yun, I'll try to note it down. Okay? References and number of pages for the RR. Yes, Ms. Rupisan.
Ma'am, wala po year na required yung references. Ma'am, for example, pwede pa po na 1999 or 2001.
Sige, actually, in an actual research, dapat within 5 years na siya class. Kung mga books or for example, mga theories na siya, of course, siyempre mga 1990 siguro pwede. Pero kung mga researches man, we do not make use of 1990s to 2021 kita, more than 30 years na siya siguro. Gamiton mo pa siya. Pero, yes, we have to make use 5 years and above. Okay? Preferably 3 years gani ang iban. Okay?
Ma'am Ben,
Yes.
daw swerte gid sila kasi mga research teacher akong kauban ng mga CI.
Wow, Sir John. Ikaw, research advisor din naman,
Research
Sir,
lecturer
ano ka
din
man,
sila, guys.
Ano ka man, ano tawag sini nagamasteral na siya oy.
Ako yung research. Wala akong research.
Sige na, naka-research naman to sa college, sa elementary, high school.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
kaya natin.
Pero di ba, Sir John, wait lang, I just wanna share. Yung MMDST kasi, nagawa namin siya sa isang ano lang, same with you, sa isang rotation lang. I don't know with you, Sir John, pero sa school nursing, nagawa namin siya.
Yes. Actually, yes, Ma'am Nel.
Within the time frame that you have, it's longer than ours. So, I would expect na matapos mo with you.
Yes, Ma'am Yan, I agree. No, usually kasi ang rotation sa second year, usually 1 month lang yun na, no? 1 month, then mag-change agad from CH and change agad ng another rotation. So within that month, no, nagka-duty ka, may major lecture ka sa face-to-face, may major ka, ang mga minor na feeling major, no, minsan sa college. So,
We can do this. Okay, pictures. So yon yung Robert Haviger's theory of developmental tasks. Okay, Eric Erickson's Piaget. Okay, Sigmund Freud. Okay, that's for your chapter 2. Okay, next, we have chapter 3, methodology. Okay, ano ba yung, you have to include under the methodology your research design, sino yung magiging respondents mo or your research locale, and the collection technique or the data gathering. So sa research design, it's actually a combination of qualitative and quantitative. Kasi quantitative, you are going to solve for the BMI, okay, magsasolve ka ng kanyang age, okay, calculate the age of the child you will be assessing. Sa quantitative naman class, because you are going to interpret the findings. Okay? So, a combination of qualitative and quantitative. Sa respondents and local, okay? Sino yung iyong naging respondent? Okay? So, yon. Kagaya nito, the respondent of the study is an interactive 5 years and 2 months and 25 days old preschooler who resides with his grandmother and siblings in Santo Niño, South Cotabato, when his mother is working abroad. Since his age falls within the age range of 2 weeks to 6 years and a half, he was qualified to be a child respondent for this study. Okay? Respondents and local. Next, we have your collection technique. So, paano kayo nag-gather ng data? Okay, so yung narrate here kung ano yung ginawa mo, okay, or ang gagawin mo. Hindi, ginawa nyo pala. Okay, this is already chapter 3. Okay, so, narrate mo lang kung anong nangyari siya. Next, chapter 4. For the chapter 4, you are going to present and interpret and as well as analyze the data. So first portion, you will have your initial database. Okay? For the initial database, okay, basic information of the child you assessed. Okay? Okay. So the name, the age, the gender, the date of birth, place of birth, order, okay, birth order, ito classic order of birth. Number of siblings, address, civil status, religion, ethnicity, and date of examination. Next, we will have your cephalocaudal assessment. So for your cephalocaudal assessment, okay, of course you have to take the vital signs. Then, remember this, since this is research, you have to come up with a table, and yung table should have 3 lines. Then, nakaspecify kung ano ang table na yan. Then, below that one, you have to explain the table. Okay? Next, you have your anthropometric measurement. You solve for the BMI of the child. So you have to include the height and the weight. You have to specify table number, then discuss what the table is all about. Okay? Next. So mag-start na tayo sa cephalocaudal assessment. Okay? Okay, cephalocaudal assessment, so skin. Upon assessment, client skin was one to touch. Okay? Dito nyo na i-implement yung natutunan ninyo last semester with the health assessment. Okay? So, yon. Ano ang findings nyo upon assessing the skin? Okay? Example, meron siyang wound. Okay? One located in the left arm. Diba? You have to measure. Okay? Yan. Okay? Nakaspecify kung may mga wound ang bata. The next, you have your hair and skull. Okay? The nails. Okay? The head and the face of the child. The eyes of the child. Paano mo siya in-assess? Okay? Your ears. Your nose. The mouth. The neck. The chest and the lungs. Paano mo siya in-assess? So remember, ano yung ating gagawin for the assessment? The IPPA, inspection, palpation, percussion, and auscultation. So axilla, your peripheral vascular system, your abdomen na assessment, the lower and upper extremities, and the neuromuscular system. Okay? So, malalaman namin yung class if copy-paste yung findings. Okay? Actually, I think this will be your first time to actually implement what you have learned with your health assessment. Okay? Kung ano class, kung face-to-face kasi yan, every rotation or in our school class, every week, yes, you are Miss Lumaga.
Ma'am, with the parang technical side po ng paper, what are the kumagang measurement for the indentation, for the size of the fonts to be used po? Ano po ang gagamitin po? What are the guidelines po?
Okay, so with the guidelines of the paper, sige, I'll be presenting later na lang after the manuscript. Will that be okay? After
Thank
the
you,
presentation
ma'am.
ng sample. Okay, sige. Okay, sige. So, after the health assessment, okay, next naman is developmental assessment. Okay? So, based on different theories na minention natin, saan siya na-classify. For example, client S is at phallic stage wherein pleasure is accomplished through exploring the genitals and experiencing attraction to the parent of the opposite sex. Okay? So, yun. Okay, ano yung ginawa mo? Okay? And paano mo siya ma-relate sa theory? Okay, so for the psychosocial development, you're also going to classify kung anong stage na siya na-belong. Okay, and paano mo nasabi yun? You just have to support it. Cognitive development. Okay. So, yon. So, for the screening test, we will still have the discussion on the MMDST next week. But this is an example form of the MMDST. Okay. So, dito, diniscuss nyo lang kung ano ang MMDST. Okay. Then, you are going to relate kung ano yung na-observe mo with your patient or your child na in-assess. Okay. So, you are going to relate it. Then here, okay, you're mag-a-assess kayo ng good enough Draman test. And by this test, you should allow the child to draw. Okay? Sige. With the steps on how to do it, we will have it next week. Okay? So, basta isulat nyo lang kung ano yung test na yan. Then, how would you relate the findings you had with your actual client? Parang ganun lang yung mangyayari. Sige. So, ito din may scoring table. So, tuturuan naman namin kayo niyan. Then, remember, after each table, you have to discuss the table. Okay, computation and calculation of age. Tuturuan kayo nito. Summary. Then lastly, we have your summary, conclusion, and recommendation. So you have your summary. Okay, the summary of the study. What can you conclude from your findings for the conclusion? Okay. Then we have your recommendation. Okay, what could you recommend? Okay, so it's for your chapter, your second file. The third file actually is your appendix. Okay, so dito mo i-attach ang iyong assessment tool na pinasa nyo kahapon. We have, yes, your learning contract. Okay. Then, after the learning contract, you will have your, medyo mahaba ang kanyang learning contract class. Okay, you should have your initials here. I mean, dapat electronically signed siya. Okay. And for the appendix, i-attach yung inyong consent form. And dapat sign siya ng parent or guardian. Next, i-attach mo din ang MMDST na form. Okay. Then documentation. Okay, yung mga drawings ng bata. Okay, yung habang nagdodraw ang bata. Okay. Ito yung sample ng mga materials na ginamit niya. Okay. So, cheese curls, ball, yung blocks, yung yarn, yung bell, okay, yung paper, yung form, pen, pencil, yung glass or bottle. Okay. Then, yon, conduction of the physical health assessment. Okay. Then, trying to stack the blocks. Okay, magsastack siya ng blocks. Okay, then of course, you have to include your curriculum vitae. Okay, and your references. And that's it. We're done with your manuscript. May questions pa ba?